Three sisters, bound by a close relationship and raised in poverty, get caught up in a major incident that pits them against the wealthiest family in the nation. The eldest, Oh In-ju, dreams of protecting her family with wealth. A life-changing event shakes her to her core. The second sister, Oh In-kyung, a news reporter, is determined to stand by what's right, even as an old case from her past resurfaces, pushing her to uncover the truth. The youngest, Oh In-hae, is grateful for her sister's sacrifices and, despite financial struggles, uses her natural talent to enter an art high school. The story opens quietly, inside a small home filled with tension and hope. Oh In-ju and Oh In-kyung wait nervously, preparing a surprise for their youngest sister, Oh In-hae's birthday. Their mother suddenly arrives, not with warmth, but with work. She immediately starts making kimchi, filling the house with strong smells and heavier emotions. At dinner, the sisters ask In-hae what she wants most for her birthday. Her answer shocks them all. She wants a nose job. The mood shifts again when In-ju and In-kyung reveal their real surprise. They have secretly prepared money for In-hae to travel to Europe. But instead of gratitude, their mother firmly rejects it, shutting the dream down without hesitation. That night, while her daughters sleep, the mother continues making kimchi. By morning, she is gone. She takes all their money and leaves behind only a letter. In it, she confesses her regret for not going to the Philippines when their father was injured. She admits she has never traveled abroad in her entire life. This time, she writes, she wants to live for herself instead of living only as a mother. She apologizes and disappears. When the sisters wake up, everything is empty. All that remains is the kimchi she prepared. Reality hits fast. Desperate, In-ju asks her company for an advance salary of 1.25 million won after 4 years of loyal work. She is rejected without sympathy. There is only one person she feels she can turn to, Jin Hwa-young, the woman in charge of the flowers. The two share a quiet bond. Hwa-young is generous, kind, and always seems to give In-ju things that feel slightly out of reach. Elsewhere, In-kyung struggles at her job as a news reporter. She works harder than anyone, yet every small mistake is noticed. One colleague watches her closely, waiting for her to fail. A call from their aunt brings more bad news. Their mother has contacted her and said she will never return to Korea. The aunt urges In-kyung to meet her and talk, especially if money becomes a problem. That night, In-ju and In-kyung sit together, sharing their fears. Everything comes back to one thing: money. Half joking, half serious, they laugh about marrying a rich man as the only possible solution. The next day, In-ju meets Hwa-young for a meal. On the way, her heel breaks, leaving her embarrassed and stuck. Calm and prepared, Hwa-young gives her a stunning new pair of heels, rare, elegant, and powerful. It feels like she is preparing In-ju for something bigger. Over food, they talk about dreams and money. They ask each other what life would look like if they were rich. In-ju recalls rumors about Hwa-young having an affair with an older man, but Hwa-young shows no interest in gossip. None of it matters to her. Hwa-young lends In-ju the money she needs. In-ju promises to repay it someday. In the restroom, a mysterious woman notices In-ju's heels. She casually mentions that there are only 3 pairs like them in Korea. Meanwhile, In-kyung visits her aunt. Over dinner, her aunt gives her financial help, on one condition. In-kyung must visit every weekend. Before leaving, she reunites with her childhood friend, Ha Jong-ho, who has just returned to Korea. Back at home, In-ju offers In-hae money for a trip, but In-hae refuses. She doesn't want to burden her sisters anymore. On television, a news clip airs showing Park Jae-sang apologizing to an elderly man. The piece was reviewed by In-kyung, who immediately senses something is wrong. The apology feels staged. Suspicious. Later, In-ju follows In-hae to a friend's house and discovers that In-hae has been receiving money from her friend's mother in exchange for art lessons. Calmly but firmly, In-ju returns the money. On the way home, she explains that they are not beggars. They do not live on pity. At the flower shop, In-ju meets a man named Choi Do-il. He mentions working on a project with Hwa-young. By chance, In-ju sees him connected to Park Jae-sang, but she doesn't yet understand how. In-kyung presents her analysis to her boss, pointing out a pattern of unreasonable deaths tied to powerful figures. At a press conference, Park Jae-sang speaks proudly about a foundation he runs. In-kyung boldly interrupts, questioning him about the unexplained deaths. He ignores the question and asks only one thing, her name. In-ju begins working with Duail. When Hwa-young suddenly stops answering her calls, In-ju grows uneasy and goes to her house. At the same time, In-kyung is accused of drinking alcohol during work hours. The truth is cruelly simple, it was water. But the accusation sticks, and everything turns against her. Inside Hwa-young's house, In-ju makes a horrifying discovery. Hwa-young is dead. Shocked and broken, In-ju stays with her one last time. She tries to protect Hwa-young's name, even addressing the ugly rumors surrounding her. Soon after, In-ju is summoned by director Shin Hyun-min. He reveals that Hwa-young had secretly been embezzling money from a fund for years. He asks In-ju to help investigate. Confused and overwhelmed, she refuses and quietly prepares a resignation letter. In-kyung's punishment follows. She is suspended from work for 1 month. That night, In-ju reads the letter Hwa-young left for her. A call comes from Hwa-young's yoga studio, asking her to transfer the membership. Then comes the final shock. Hwa-young didn't just leave money behind. She saved an enormous amount, all for In-ju. And just like that, everything changes. The night begins quietly, with In-ju cooking dinner for herself and In-kyung. At the table, the tension finally surfaces. In-kyung admits she has been suspended from work for a month, accused of alcohol dependency. In-ju promises she won't let her sister become like their father. Together, they decide to throw away the summer radish kimchi their mother left behind, letting go of what still ties them to her. Elsewhere, In-hae spends her time painting a portrait of her wealthy friend at their house, her talent growing quietly in the background. Back home, In-ju opens the kimchi containers one by one, but instead of vegetables, she hides stacks of cash inside. The money she found at Hwa-young's house amounts to 2 billion won. She slips 1 million into her purse and walks into a convenience store, overwhelmed by the question of what someone with that much money could possibly want. She wonders how a person so rich could choose death, and begins to believe Hwa-young might still be alive. In-kyung visits her great-aunt for dinner. They talk about journalism, truth, and survival. Her aunt urges her to quit reporting and work with her instead, promising wealth through stock investments, just as she once did as a child. Meanwhile, In-ju meets Hyun-min and agrees to help with the investigation, strictly on her own terms. In-kyung attempts to contact a victim's family member connected to the Bobi Savings Bank case, but fails. Jong-ho invites her to dinner, where she reconnects with his grandfather. Suddenly, a call comes in from the victim's nephew. He gives her an address and asks to meet at the fish market the next day. At the same time, In-ju and Do-il return to Hwa-young's house to search for clues. In-ju asks Do-il to leave so she can focus. She studies receipts and discovers something disturbing. Hwa-young spent excessively on luxury goods while claiming she was poor. She remembers Hwa-young once explaining how living a double life gave her freedom. Digging deeper, In-ju finds a burner Instagram account on Hwa-young's phone. The account exposes a hidden lifestyle. When she calculates the expenses, the numbers don't add up. There are gaps that someone like Hwa-young would never leave behind. Hyun-min suddenly arrives. He manipulates In-ju into helping him further by promising she can keep the luxury items. He invades her personal space, makes inappropriate demands, and insists she must always look presentable, especially in expensive heels. His behavior leaves In-ju shaken and in tears. Then Hyun-min notices something odd. An orchid inside the house, fresh. He leaves immediately, visibly disturbed. Early the next morning, In-kyung and Jong-ho head toward the fish market. On the way, they pass a car accident. At the market, the nephew doesn't answer his phone. Sensing danger, In-kyung asks Jong-ho to return to the accident site. Near the wrecked car, she calls again. The phone rings, from inside the vehicle. The nephew is dead. Inside the car, Jong-ho finds the same orchid seen at Hwa-young's house. Later, In-ju visits the shop where her rare heels were purchased. She learns the truth, they were bought by Hyun-min. Her team leader reveals more. Hyunmin likely had a secret relationship with Hwayoung, and the affair could be exposed through financial records. She also says something chilling: Hyunmin only pursued women who wore cheap heels. That night, Inju revisits Hwayoung's burner account and has a sudden realization. She rushes to Duael. Together, they piece everything together. The heels were a signal. Hyunmin used Hwayoung, pushed her into stealing money, and planned to let her take the fall, while he kept 70 billion won. Duael reveals another crucial detail. Hyunmin handled the forensics of Hwayoung's death. Inju checks the building's CCTV footage from the night Hwayoung died, but it has mysteriously disappeared. Meanwhile, In-kyung reviews dashcam footage of the nephew's accident with the police. Nothing looks unusual. No proof. Just doubt. Back home, In-kyung collapses in tears after reading the final text message sent by the man who is now dead. Duael and Inju uncover the final truth. Hwayoung had secretly placed a travel ban on Hyunmin without his knowledge. Trapped in Korea, he unknowingly sent her to Switzerland to move the money herself. When she returned, he discovered her betrayal and hounded her until she broke. They also discover the woman who held Hwayoung's position before her died the same way. In-kyung attends the nephew's funeral and quietly slips a note into his brother's hand. Duael confirms the horrifying pattern. Hyunmin targeted poor women, pulled them into embezzlement, and coerced them into killing themselves. Inju begs him to report everything, but Duael refuses. The money is illegal. If reported, it disappears. He values money over life, and that truth devastates her. Later, In-kyung confides in Jang-ho, admitting she feels everything too deeply. She explains her suspicions about Park Jae-sang, but Jang-ho struggles to believe such a powerful man could be responsible. At home, Inju finally breaks down. In-kyung jokes about wasting her severance pay on ice cream and cosmetics, unaware of the fortune hidden inside the kimchi containers. A package arrives for Inju. Inside are red heels. Elsewhere, In-hai's artwork appears on a massive billboard. Her rich friend has taken credit for the painting and won a grand prize, hailed as a child prodigy. The girl is revealed to be Park Jae-sang's daughter. In-kyung recognizes the painting instantly. It belongs to her sister. Inju confronts Hyunmin directly, accusing him of orchestrating the deaths and asking if she was his next victim. He denies everything, claims Hwayoung used him, and insists he was ready to take responsibility. As he leaves, his car malfunctions. Inside the vehicle, a blue orchid is visible. The car plunges from a rooftop parking lot. Hyunmin dies instantly. And Inju watches, frozen in shock, realizing the truth is far bigger, darker, and closer than she ever imagined. Hyunmin's death leaves Inju shaken to her core. Even after calling the police, the image of the blue orchid falling from his car stays burned into her mind. At the same time, In-kyung confronts In-hai about her involvement with Park Jae-sang's daughter, Hyo-rin. In-hai admits the truth. She gave away her painting because Hyo-rin's mother promised to fund her education in Boston. To In-hai, talent alone means nothing without a powerful name. She openly chooses luxury, even if it means committing a crime. In-kyung storms into Park Jae-sang's home during a lavish party to get her sister out. In-hai hides, humiliated, while guests whisper. Drunk and desperate, In-kyung creates a public scene that is secretly recorded. Park Jae-sang watches calmly, already calculating. Though the police arrive, he has her released, marking her instead of stopping her. At the hospital, Duael gives Inju an alibi and confirms Hyunmin's death. Inju begins to doubt him, sensing he knows more than he admits. Duael explains that with Hyunmin dead, the blame for the missing 70 billion won will be pushed onto him. He also reveals that Hwayoung withdrew 2 billion won in cash, possibly with an accomplice still unknown. Behind closed doors, Park Jae-sang decides to use In-hai as leverage against In-kyung, now seeing her sister as a clear weakness. That night, tensions explode at home. In-hai lashes out, while Inju quietly washes blood from her clothes. Reading Hwayoung's letters again, Inju finds a hidden link to Won Sang-woo, a man confined to a psychiatric hospital. Following Hwayoung's request, Inju takes the 2 billion won to meet him. Sangwoo explains the truth about slush funds and reveals that he was locked away for exposing his own father. He advises Inju to keep the money and turn it into something that won't haunt her. Before she can process it, he hands her the slush fund ledgers, the very thing Duail has been searching for. When Duail arrives with his men, Inju panics and escapes through the hospital window, barely getting away with the ledgers. Later, Do catches up to her. He reveals another crucial truth. Park Jae-sang is Sangwoo's brother-in-law. The ledgers are a weapon, and Sangwoo handed them to Inju to destroy Park Jae-sang without touching him directly. Duail proposes an alliance, explaining the ledgers will become far more valuable as the election approaches. They agree to work together, eventually settling on a 60-40th split, with Inju keeping the 2 billion won. The game has officially begun. Meanwhile, In Kyung continues her investigation. She receives a flash drive recovered from Cheol-sung's body. The footage shows a man sniffing a blue substance moments before his death, right after being visited by Park Jae-sang. The orchid is no coincidence. At home, In-hae announces her plan to go to Boston, not as a student alone, but as Hyorin's guardian. Inju explodes, refusing to let her become someone else's servant. In-hae cruelly replies that she would rather live as a maid than stay poor with her sisters. In-kyung later discovers boxes of cash hidden in their freezer. The sisters clash violently. In-kyung believes keeping the money is dangerous and immoral. Inju reveals a painful truth. Their family once lost another sister because they couldn't afford treatment. Money, to her, is survival. She leaves with the cash, choosing action over guilt. Inju begins spending the money, then turns to their great aunt, asking for help buying an apartment. The aunt agrees, slowly, reluctantly, revealing old resentment but offering help nonetheless. Meanwhile, Park Jae-sang's wife grows suspicious of Inju after noticing her expensive heels and cash. She orders a background check. In-hae's paintings, dark and unsettling, reveal her inner hatred, one even depicting a dying sister. The episode closes with a chilling moment. Alone with Park Jae-sang, In-hae is asked a single question. Would you betray the person you love most in the world? Her silence says everything. Park Jae-sang makes his message to In-hae clear. If she wants the life she dreams of, a sacrifice is unavoidable. When she asks what he gave up to become rich, his answer is chilling, his father's death. The next day, Inju goes apartment hunting with their great aunt, Hae-suk. She explains how she chose wealth over remarriage after returning to Korea, teaching Inju a harsh lesson about capitalism. To gain something, you must be ready to lose something. She gives Inju one night to decide. Meanwhile, Hyorin visits the Oh sisters' cramped home and is visibly shocked. In-hae, however, feels no attachment to the love her sisters give her. She leaves a note saying she'll stay at Hyorin's house for the night. Inju feels safe in the apartment Hae-suk offered, but In-kyung is furious. She refuses to accept a future built on stolen money. Their argument turns bitter. Inju insists poverty destroyed their family, even costing them a sister. In-kyung believes crime will destroy them again. She blocks Inju's number, choosing distance over compromise. In-kyung continues investigating. A nurse who cared for a Bobi savings bank victim reveals that Park Jae-sang personally calmed the man before his death and handed him a blue orchid. In-kyung begins to understand the flower's role. With Jong-ho, she learns the truth about the blue ghost orchid, a poisonous flower known as the orchid of death. At the same time, Sana invites In-hae to a secret greenhouse filled with illegal ghost orchids. She lets In-hae sniff one before casually taking it back. As In-hae begins painting Sen's portrait, the toxin takes effect. She hallucinates, panics, and collapses. Inju rushes to the hospital. The diagnosis is devastating. In-hae has the same rare genetic disease that killed their sister, In-seon. Surgery is urgent. Overwhelmed, Inju calls their mother, who refuses to come. For the first time, In-kyung agrees. The money must be used to save In-hae. Behind the scenes, Park Jae-sang sees opportunity. Public opinion favors him, and his team decides that In-hae's illness could become the tragic story he needs to rise higher. Before Inju can act, Ko Suim finds her and steals the 2 billion won back. When Inju begs for just 100 million to save her sister, Sui mocks her and turns it into a brutal game, money in exchange for being beaten. Inju agrees. She collapses under the blows until Duil intervenes. Sane steps in, taking Inju away. She wears the same rare heels Hwayoung once wore and speaks casually about gifting them to her. Sane offers Inju a job as her assistant, well-paid, powerful, and dangerous. Inju accepts, but makes one thing clear: she will never be her friend. In-hai undergoes surgery. She survives, but wakes confused, haunted by memories of Inseon. When their mother lies again, Inju finally cuts contact for good. Park Jae-sang, Sane, and Hyorin visit the hospital with cameras rolling. In-kyung explodes in anger, but Inju holds her back. When the Park family prepares to pay for the treatment, Hae-suk arrives and covers the costs herself, shattering Park Jae-sang's plan. Elsewhere, Duil learns something terrifying. The slush funds aren't just hidden. They're under Inju's name. Hwayoung has been living in Singapore for years using Inju's identity and split the 70 billion won into 7 accounts, all tied to her. As the truth sinks in, Inju makes a single demand. She wants to go to Singapore. Inju reveals to Duil that she once traveled to Singapore with Hwayoung after her mother passed away, but she still can't understand why Hwayoung left her such an enormous fortune. When she asks to go there again, Dul stops her. Too many people are watching. Instead, he tells her to gain Sene's trust and work under her. Only then will she be able to reach Singapore during the Orchid Festival. When Duil drops her home, In-kyung and Jong-ho notice him. In-kyung recognizes Duil from his university days in the US and teasingly assumes he's Inju's boyfriend. Duil plays along smoothly. Afterward, Inju shocks her sister by announcing she's officially working for Sen. That night, memories of Singapore with Hwayoung resurface. Moments of closeness that now feel loaded with secrets. Inju quickly proves herself as Sen's assistant. Efficient, quiet, useful. Sane soon prepares for a secret trip and asks Inju to cover for her, warning her to keep it hidden from Park Jae-sang and Hyorin. She also leaves medication for Hyorin's panic attacks and disappears. While watching a documentary about In-hai's hospitalization, Park Jae-sang storms in, furious over Sane's absence. He smashes the television, triggering Hyorin's panic attack. Inju steps in, calming her down. Jae-sang orders Duil to retrieve Sane immediately. Later, Duil pulls Inju away from CCTV cameras and reassures her. He promises she'll get a new identity, a new life, and that he'll protect her. Inju, shaken but desperate, decides to trust him. That night, In-hai brings Inju to the orchid room. Hyorin confesses she used self-harm to cope with her fear. In-hai encourages her to pour that darkness into art instead. Elsewhere, In-kyung is forced to work at Hae-suk's real estate firm as repayment for In-hai's medical bills. She discovers troubling financial risks but is told to stay quiet and learn. Sane is dragged back from Singapore, furious. A violent fight erupts between her and Jae-sang, sending Hyorin into another panic attack. Sane leaves and secretly visits her comatose father, General Won, watching Jae-sang's interview with cold detachment. The next day, appearances are maintained. Sane gives Inju a makeover, teaching her how to look harmless while controlling power from the shadows. She admits she plays foolish to make Jae-sang look smarter. Meanwhile, In-kyung and Jong-ho follow the author's clue to a school tied to General Won. There, they discover a hidden plantation of blue orchids, grown illegally, and learn the school was founded by the general himself. In-kyung is stunned to find her colleague's name listed among the alumni. San later takes Inju to Hwayoung's old place. Drunk and vulnerable, she opens up about her bond with Hwayoung and reveals scars from self-harm. She admits she lives her life acting, trapped by her father's expectations. Inju softens, even as Duil later warns her not to trust Sane's performance. In-kyung sends Inju a chilling warning about Du. Years ago, he survived a car crash in the US. His girlfriend vanished, presumed dead. His mother was later charged with assault. In-kyung suspects Duil is far more dangerous than he appears. Inju refuses to listen, insisting she's only using him for the money. The next day, In-kyung rushes to work to expose the Blue Orchid connection, only to be abruptly fired. At the same time, In-ju discovers one of Hyo-rin's paintings. It perfectly recreates the scene of Hwa-young's death. That night, In-hae and In-ju search CCTV footage to find Hyo-rin missing. They locate her passed out in a basement car, watching dashcam footage on repeat. On the screen, In-ju sees something devastating. Park Jae-sang entering Hwa-young's apartment complex. On the night she died. In-ju is left reeling after discovering that Park Jae-sang drove to Hwa-young's home on the night she died. At the same time, In-kyung is publicly reprimanded for fueling controversy, while her colleague Mari coldly denies any ties to General Won beyond a scholarship. Hyo-rin finally opens up. That night, her parents were fighting as usual. She saw her father leave using General Won's car, something he never does, then watched her mother follow soon after. Terrified they wouldn't return, she slit her wrists just to make them notice her. When asked about the painting of Hwa-young's death, Hyo-rin admits she has seen that image many times before, in nightmares that only became clear that night. In-hae reveals she began seeing similar visions after entering the orchid room. The girls believe the orchid lets them see ghosts and the future. Hyo-rin refuses to hand over the dashcam footage, insisting that being there doesn't prove Park Jae-sang killed anyone. In-ju backs off, for now. Public pressure mounts against Park Jae-sang over lies about his past. In-kyung leaks confidential real estate documents to reporters, further damaging him. That night, In-ju searches Hyo-rin's room for the footage but is caught by In-hae, who now openly sides with the Park family. Unknown to her, In-hae and Hyo-rin bury the dash cam beneath the orchid tree. The next day, In-ju arranges a meeting between Park Jae-sang and Hae-suk. Their conversation is tense and loaded with history. Hae-suk reveals she once saved General Won's life, and hints she knows far more about Park Jae-sang's father than he'd like exposed. Sanae watches uneasily. Duael warns In-ju to stop pushing Park Jae-sang or she'll be eliminated. In-ju confronts him about his past, and he insists the woman who vanished in his old car accident was a client he helped disappear. Park Jae-sang turns the tide with a calculated press conference, blaming his father and General Won while promising scholarships as repentance. Reporters applaud. In-kyung is stunned as public opinion flips overnight. Behind closed doors, Park Jae-sang, Sanae, Duael, and Suim decide it's time to deal with In-ju. Suim suggests killing her, but Sanae stops it, declaring In-ju useful and trustworthy. In-kyung keeps digging. She discovers Wonryong School sits on land once owned by multiple victims, including Kim Dal-soo, and by Hae-suk herself. Before she can secure proof, the documents are shredded. One salvaged photo reveals a name written on the back, Jongran Society. Meanwhile, Sena asks In-ju to go to Singapore for an orchid auction and gives her a blue ghost orchid, instructing her to keep it near while sleeping. She claims it will reveal what In-ju truly wants and allow her entry into the Jongran Society. Dul urgently warns her not to sniff it. In-ju refuses to listen. That night, when the orchid blooms, In-ju inhales its scent and falls into a trance. As In-kyung and Jong-ho uncover that Jongran Society members all died young, with only a few survivors left, In-ju wanders Hae-suk's house, questioning her about the 70 billion won and accusing Park Jae-sang of murder. Her words slur. Her body weakens. Later, In-kyung rushes to Hae-suk's home after finding the door open. Inside, she finds Hae-suk dead. In-ju lies beside her, blood covering her hands. A blue orchid rests on the floor nearby. And everything goes silent. In-kyung arrives at Hae-suk's house to a nightmare, In-ju kneeling in blood beside their great-aunt's lifeless body. In-ju collapses, blaming herself for bringing the blue orchid into the house. Dul finds the orchid near the body, deepening the mystery. At the funeral, relatives whisper and accuse. In-ju speaks with Sang-ha, who explains her bond with Hae-suk and insists the orchid didn't cause her death. In-ju refuses to bury her emotions and vows to uncover the truth. Hae-suk's will shocks everyone. In-kyung inherits everything, assets and debts alike. While the family walks away from the burden, In-kyung accepts it without hesitation. In-ju confronts Do, suspecting he knew about Hae-suk's death in advance. He denies it and refuses to investigate until after Singapore. Desperate, In-ju offers money, but Duail keeps their original deal unchanged. At Haesuk's home, In-kyung discovers a hidden key card. Later, news breaks that Haesuk's chef has confessed to the murder, claiming financial ruin. In-kyung doesn't believe it. Evidence soon surfaces. The chef was holding an orchid. The sisters open a hidden room using the key card. Everything is gone except another orchid. In-kyung sniffs it and becomes fiercely determined to expose the truth behind the orchids and the Jongran society. They make a pact. In-ju will retrieve the money from Singapore, and In-kyung will use the ledgers to expose everything. As Park Jae-sang wins the mayoral preliminary election, In-kyung notices his speech mirrors General Won's wartime rhetoric and spots Haesuk in old footage as a military nurse. The past is catching up. Meanwhile, In-hae and Hyorin discover a horrifying dollhouse hidden in the attic, an exact replica of Hwayoung's home, complete with a doll in red heels hanging in the closet. The dollhouse appears in Sang-ha's old art collection. The sisters learn the Jongran Society was formed during the Vietnam War by hospital staff. Most members died young. Only 2 remain alive, General Won and Choi Hee-jae. The truth tightens further. Choi Hee-jae is Dole's father. In-ju and In-kyung visit Duail's mother in prison. She confirms she committed murder on someone else's orders and gives them Choi Hee-jae's address, asking In-ju to pass on a message. Park Jae-sang orders Duail to be tailed. Dual later hands In-ju proof that Haesuk's chef was likely coerced, then warns her she'll be on her own. She trusts he'll still save her if it comes to that. In-kyung and Jong-ho confront Choi Hee-jae, a former elite sniper living in isolation. He explodes at the mention of the Jongran Society and throws them out, but In-kyung knows he'll call back. Before In-ju leaves, In-hae secretly gives her the dashcam footage of the night Hwayoung died. As Park Jae-sang sends men to eliminate Choi Hee-jae, the house explodes, killing the attackers instead. At a restaurant, Duail finally reveals the truth. Someone named Oh In-ju is already living in Singapore. He shows her a photo. The woman has an orchid tattoo on her ankle, just like Hwayoung. They must leave immediately. The race to Singapore has begun. Park Jae-sang tests Duail's loyalty with a final command. Kill In-ju, cleanly and quietly. Duail agrees, claiming he must be overseas to do it. Satisfied, Jae-sang issues a warning. Failure is not an option. At a restaurant, Duail reveals the truth to In-ju. Hwayoung is alive in Singapore. If they don't move fast, the 70 billion won will disappear. In-ju agrees to leave immediately. Back home, Sang-ha hides her injuries as Jae-sang apologizes for hurting her, insisting everything he does is for her protection. He orders her to endure a little longer and appear as the mayor's wife on live television. Sang-ha asks him to protect her no matter what. He claims he always has. In-kyung learns from a war veteran that Choi Hee-jae was part of a secret operation where soldiers returned possessed after exposure to the orchid. The past is darker than she imagined. In-ju calls In-kyung from the airport, telling her she's headed to Singapore and asking her to keep both emergency phones charged. Meanwhile, In-hae and Hyorin access the Park House CCTV. Hyorin hacks into a safe and finds multiple international bank passbooks, all under her name. In Singapore, In-ju checks into a luxury hotel and is treated like royalty. She learns that Oh In-ju has been the gold medalist at the orchid competition for 3 consecutive years, placing bids by phone. She is stunned. Her name carries power she never knew she had. As In-ju soaks in this false identity, In-hae sneaks Hyorin into Sang-ha's room. They see bruises. Sang-ha lies, claiming everything is fine and that she plans to stay with Jae-sang. In-hae overhears and realizes the truth is far worse. Late at night, Choi Hee-jae appears inside Haesuk's house. He tells In-kyung that Haesuk left the Jongran Society years ago and demands she stop investigating. When In-kyung refuses, he reveals his plan, to kill Park Jae-sang on live television. She counters with the ledgers, convincing him to wait. The next day, In-ju retraces Hwayoung's steps in Singapore. At a cafe, she's told the regular customer is Oh In-ju, from Korea. There is another woman using her identity. They realize she must appear at the orchid auction. At the auction, In-ju confidently places bids and wins a rare orchid. Moments later, a woman with an orchid tattoo leaves the room. Someone whispers that they saw In-ju in a yellow dress. The message is clear. Back in Korea, Jae-sang interrogates In-hae about helping Hyo-rin see her mother. In-hae stands her ground, warning him to keep children out of adult wars. Do-il insists they withdraw the money immediately. The bank has already begun the process, 2 hours to escape Singapore. As they move, In-ju receives a warning from In-kyung. Do-il was sent to kill her. Doubt creeps in. Do-il hands In-ju a gun, telling her to shoot him if she feels threatened. At the same time, Sang-ha attempts to flee the country. Hyo-rin collapses into another panic attack and is hospitalized with In-hae at her side. In Singapore, an old woman slips In-ju a note. It's from Hwa-young. Do-il is dangerous. In-ju follows the instructions, escaping the bank with the cash while Do-il is delayed. Her car crashes during the getaway. Bleeding and unconscious, she hallucinates Hwa-young urging her to run. She wakes, escapes the hospital, and reaches the apartment. There, she drinks tea left behind, laced with blue ghost orchids. Hours later, the door opens. Sang-ha enters. The truth explodes. Everything was an act. Singapore, Hwa-young, the money, all of it was Sang-ha's design. Hwa-young was used to shape In-ju and killed when her role ended. In-ju was always meant to die next. Sang-ha admits she planned to push In-ju off the building, while she was still conscious. As In-ju weakens, she asks to see the money one last time. Sang-ha opens the suitcase. It's filled with bricks. In-ju stands. She pulls out the gun Do-il gave her and points it at a stunned Sang-ha. The game isn't over. Sang-ha realizes In-ju has escaped with the 70 billion won, but she barely reacts. The money, she says, was never the goal. In-ju's death was. Before she can act, Do-il storms in and takes down Sang-ha's men. He delivers Park Jae-sang's message, stop now and return to Korea. In-kyung is with him, offering the ledgers in exchange for In-ju's life. Sang-ha hesitates, exposing the Jongran society would cost her everything. Reluctantly, she lets In-ju go. Back in Korea, Park Jae-sang corners In-kyung and reveals a devastating truth. Her trusted boss has been part of the Jongran society all along, manipulating her career. Then, right in front of her, he burns the ledgers. Still, In-kyung swears she'll destroy the society, with or without proof. In Singapore, In-ju tells Do-il the money is hidden in a train station locker. If she dies, he must give her sisters their share. He reassures her, but she collapses from exhaustion. In-kyung confronts her former boss, who proudly defends the Jongran society as a path to power. She rejects him completely. Later, she drinks with Jong-ho, who confesses his feelings and asks her to leave Korea with him. She refuses, explaining that what she feels with him is comfort, not love. That night, In-kyung makes a dangerous choice. Unable to rely on the media, she contacts Hee-jae and agrees to help kill Park Jae-sang. An email soon arrives from Sang-woo, claiming he has evidence against him. The next morning, In-ju and Do-il prepare to leave for Greece. He transfers the money into a company under her name and plans to disappear. But at the airport, In-ju gets a call, In-kyung is missing. She immediately turns back to Korea, trusting Do-il to protect the money for her sisters. At the Park house, Hyo-rin and In-hae pretend everything is normal. But soon after, In-hae vanishes. Hyo-rin collapses during rehearsal, then lies to protect her, claiming In-hae ran away with the money. The truth is darker. In-hae is imprisoned in the closed room, a replica of the dollhouse, once used to trap Sang-ha's mother. Sang-ha reveals the horror. Her mother was locked there for nearly 3,000 days and died inside. In-hae is meant to share the same fate. Meanwhile, police search for In-kyung, believing she admitted herself into rehab. In reality, she infiltrated the psychiatric hospital to reach Sang-woo. With Hee-jae's help, she reaches him through the vents. Sang-woo finally confesses everything, the bank scandal, the Jongran society, and Park Jae-sang's crimes, and agrees to testify. Suim's men close in. In-ju and Jong-ho create chaos by triggering fire alarms. On the rooftop, In-ju brutally fights Suim, buying time for In-kyung and Sang-woo to escape. Duel arrives masked and rescues Inju and Jongho. Everyone regroups at Heejae's house. The sisters reunite. The question remains, expose Park Jae-sang or kill him? Heejae chooses the latter. As panic grows over In-hae's disappearance, Duel heads to the Park house to find her. Meanwhile, Park Jae-sang lashes out at Suim until Sang-woo calls, asking for money to escape. Jae-sang agrees to meet. But when the time comes, Sang-woo is not where expected. He stands behind Park Jae-sang, gun to his head. And the end is finally in sight. Sang-woo holds a gun to Park Jae-sang's head, accusing him of stealing his life and position. He threatens Suim over a video call, demanding money to escape. But when Jae-sang fights back, he discovers the gun has no bullets. Enraged, he beats Sang-woo to death with a stone. Back home, Sang-ha coldly praises Jae-sang and gives him a sleeping pill, telling him to rest for his big day. That same night, Inju and Duil secretly enter the Park house and learn the truth from Hyorin, Sang-ha imprisoned In-hae. Following a hidden passage, they reach the closed room and rescue In-hae. Hyorin escapes with them. Inside the room, Sang-ha reveals her trauma. Her mother locked herself inside that space for years before dying there. She believes pretending nothing was wrong would have saved her family, and demands the same silence from others. Meanwhile, In-kyung realizes Sang-woo may have gone after Jae-sang alone. With Heejae, she prepares for one final exposure. The girls flee the Park house. Sang-ha later breaks down upon learning Hyorin is gone. Inju confronts her, delivering a letter from Hyorin and begging her to let the children live freely. Sang-ha wavers. As In-kyung prepares her final report, Duil secretly strikes a deal with Jae-sang to save his imprisoned mother, agreeing to betray Heejae. Inju, unaware, signs over power of attorney to the money. Suim uses this to sabotage Heejae, planting a bomb on his truck. He survives, badly burned. The truth finally explodes on live television. In-kyung reveals that Park Jae-sang's father orchestrated a murder and framed Duil's mother to build slush funds. DNA evidence surfaces. Duil reappears, revealing he double-crossed Jae-sang all along. The plan worked. In-kyung's broadcast shakes the nation. But the public still votes for Park Jae-sang. Then everything collapses. During another live broadcast, it's announced that Park Jae-sang has jumped to his death. In-kyung freezes on air. Inju watches in disbelief. At the morgue, Sang-ha looks at Jae-sang's body, a blue orchid in his hand. Sang-ha calls Inju with a warning, this isn't over. Moments later, Inju checks her account. The 70 billion won is gone. Someone pounds on her door. And just like that, the story ends where it began, with money, fear, and a knock that changes everything. A flashback reveals the truth behind Park Jae-sang's death. After winning the election, Sang-ha hands him the blue ghost orchid. She reminds him of the promise he made as a child, to protect her no matter what. Jae-sang fulfills that promise by jumping to his death. Back home, Sang-ha breaks down over a childhood portrait of herself with Jae-sang and Sang-woo, sent by In-hae from Japan. Meanwhile, Inju is arrested for stealing the 70 billion won, even though her account is empty. Before being taken away, she tells In-kyung that Duil betrayed her and took all the money. The next day, Duil and his mother are chased and injured in a car accident. In prison, Inju worries for him and begs In-kyung to find him. After Jae-sang's funeral, Sang-ha takes control of the Wonryong Trust and gives Suim permission to destroy the O sisters. Public opinion turns brutal. Reporter Mari accuses Inju of conspiring with Hwayoung and stealing 72 billion won. In court, Inju is cornered into confessing. She realizes Duil is now a witness for the prosecution against her. In-kyung pieces together the truth. Hwayoung's mother was a victim of the Bobi Savings Bank scandal. Hwayoung was never greedy, she was taking revenge. Inju breaks down, realizing she was used as a pawn, and asks In-kyung to expose Sang-ha for killing Hwayoung. The pattern becomes clear. Hwayoung and Sang-ha's mother both died hanging in a closet, wearing fur coats and red heels. Mari continues manipulating the media, framing Sang-woo as a mentally ill killer and portraying Jae-sang as acting in self-defense. Public hatred toward the sisters grows. Sang-ha, now isolated, turns to Sapayang, the last active member of the Jongran society. She asks him to deal with In-kyung. Soon after, In-kyung is kidnapped. Sang-ha visits In-ju in prison and threatens to kill her entire family, including In-hai. In-ju breaks down helplessly. In-kyung wakes up tied to a chair, facing Sapayang. A knife presses to her throat. It appears she is killed. The next day in court, Duael takes the stand. At first, he confirms In-ju's involvement, then suddenly turns everything upside down. He reveals that the money was transferred to a firm in Panama under Sang-ha's name. He submits a flash drive with full transaction records and confesses his own crimes to save In-ju. Sang-ha is stunned. Duael is arrested, but not before reassuring In-ju one last time. Then the impossible happens. In-kyung appears alive on live television. With Sapayang's help, she exposes Sang-ha, Jae-sang, and the Jongran society, revealing the murders, the orchid deaths, and the illegal father tree of blue orchids. Sang-ha watches everything collapse. The next day, In-ju gives her final statement in court. She admits her greed and accepts punishment. Just as the courtroom falls silent, a woman walks in from the back. In-ju freezes. In-kyung stares in disbelief. Sang-ha turns pale. The woman is Hwa-young, alive, and everything they believed shatters in an instant. Hwa-young shocks the courtroom by appearing at In-ju's final trial. She confesses that the 72 billion won was embezzled by herself and Sang-ha, not In-ju. In-ju, she says, knew nothing. She was manipulated for 10 years, used as entertainment in Sang-ha's twisted game. Hwa-young admits she brought In-ju into the mess for her own revenge, but refuses to explain the details of her staged death. The verdict is merciful but firm. In-ju receives 6 months in prison and 2 years probation for keeping the 2 billion won. Sang-ha tells reporters she's being framed and promises to cooperate. 6 months later, In-kyung and Jong-ho bring In-ju home to Hae-suk's bungalow. Waiting inside is Hwa-young. She finally tells the truth. She left for Singapore hoping In-ju would use the 2 billion won to live freely. Instead, Sang-ha dragged the Oh sisters into a nightmare. At the Orchid Festival, Hwa-young realized Sang-ha was watching. When In-ju fled the bank with the cash, Park Jae-sang caused the car crash. Despite severe injuries, Hwa-young woke In-ju and saved her life, then collapsed, disappearing into treatment. In-ju is furious that Hwa-young risked everything for her. They reconcile. Hwa-young asks her to live quietly, far from danger. Then In-ju gets a call. Duael's case has been dropped. He's heading to the Netherlands, and he's already found In-hai and Hyo-rin. When In-ju turns back, Hwa-young is gone. The final reckoning. Hwa-young holds a press conference, releasing CCTV footage that proves Sang-ha murdered the woman used as her body double. The fake suicide was never planned, Sang-ha killed her. Hwa-young also launches a public app exposing the hidden ledgers, revealing that the Jongran society embezzled far more than 70 billion won. Sang-ha panics. With Sapayang and General Won in the hospital, she makes her move, poisoning them with orchid extracts. Declared unfit to lead, she snaps, ordering Sapayang's public execution. Meanwhile, In-ju senses danger. She leaves her flight, calls the police and rushes back. Sapayang is found dead. Jong-ho is injured. In-kyung is kidnapped. Everything converges at Sang-ha's house. In-ju enters the orchid room and finds Hwa-young tied to a chair. Sang-ha reveals her endgame, acid flooding the vents to kill Hwa-young and the orchid tree together. As Sang-ha watches, intoxicated by control, In-ju shields Hwa-young and detonates a small charge, breaking free. Duael arrives. In-kyung is rescued. Jong-ho survives. Sang-ha lunges one last time. In-ju pushes her into the acid pond. Sang-ha dies, along with the blue orchid tree. The news confirms Sang-ha's death. Documents from Sapayang clear General Won of embezzlement. Hwa-young recovers, then is sentenced to 12 years in prison. In-ju visits her. They promise to meet again. Do leaves for Greece, telling In-ju this isn't goodbye. Hae-suk's final gift is revealed, an apartment left to In-ju. For the first time, her life feels stable. In-kyung declines another news offer. She chooses herself, and chooses Jongho. This time, her heart races. They kiss. Back at the O house, the sisters talk about the future. They still argue. They still laugh. In-hai hasn't called. Then the truth is revealed. The 70 billion won. In-hai and Hyorin are in Panama with Duel. The money was never lost. Duel hid the 70 billion won in Hyorin's account and lied to protect everyone. The money is divided equally, Duel, Hyorin, In-kyung, and In-hai. But In-hai sends the largest share to In-ju. For every sacrifice, every night endured, every time she chose her sisters over herself. In-ju checks her account. She smiles. At last, the story ends not with greed or power, but with choice, survival, and sisterhood.